More and more lawmakers are now demanding additional stimulus for the American people. In today's video, I will address why this is all starting now, what we are seeing because of it, and when this could potentially come. So make sure you stick around for this entire video, and I will explain exactly what is going on. But let's get right down to it. Now, before I get into the updates, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you appreciate all the updates and all the news that I give you on a daily basis. But what are we talking about regarding stimulus? How is there more money coming? And how can the federal government actually afford this? Well, here's where things get very interesting. According to multiple Senate Democrats and a handful of Republicans in both the House and the Senate, they're saying a bipartisan bill that improves border security and provides funding for Ukraine is a must and very likely. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how would a bill for Ukraine and border security provide us with any additional stimulus? Well, this is where things get very interesting. What we are hearing from lawmakers is that certain states, specifically Illinois, New York, California, and even Texas, they are being overrun by illegal immigrants. And these illegal immigrants are taking away benefits from residents of those states. And now what those lawmakers are telling us is we need to provide additional funding to those states so those states can go out and give additional tax credits, additional stimulus checks, more nutrition assistance, right? Better, improve their health care, whatever. They're saying all these states are struggling because they are being overrun. That is why they are now calling for border security. And I want to get to that because I talked about this the other day. A lot of people didn't want to hear about a border wall being constructed. But again, the border wall is now being constructed because states are losing their funding. Okay? And I know the Biden administration came out and said that no, the reason why we're building this border wall is because that's what Congress appropriated the funds for. Yes, that's part of the reason why. That's the technical answer. But could President Biden say, no, we can't spend that money there? Okay, we can't do that. That was passed in 2019. Okay, it's 2023. It's 4 years later. Yeah, that's part of the problem. Okay, now here's something else. Earlier this week, obviously the Biden administration, they announced they will continue constructing the border wall, about 20 miles of it. This is the Trump border wall, by the way. Now, when asked why they decided to start constructing the wall 3 years into his presidency, he simply said because Congress said he had to use that money for what it was appropriated for. That was it. But that we know that is not the 100% truth. Now, according to lawmakers, again, they understand their role. They understand what has to be done. They are saying that the reason for the construction of the border wall is to slow down illegal immigration. That's not something that the Biden administration wants to come out and just say that, hey, this is why we're doing it. And again, these lawmakers don't even want to be addressed. Okay, they don't want to be named. All right, they say, or one person says, and I quote, "States are being overrun and causing problems with housing, nutrition, and health care. We must do more." Even Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, he had this to say, and I quote, "This administration's policies encouraged illegal immigration, created humanitarian crisis, and it strained town resources across the U.S. Now that big blue states are facing reality of crisis, the Biden administration starts to wake up. Praise the Lord, finally." So I think this is interesting because, and again, I'm going to get more into this, but what Senator Chuck Grassley is stating is that now that big blue states are facing this crisis of, like New York, for example, 125,000 people came into the state since this past spring. Okay, Illinois, there's busloads of people being bussed in every single week. And it's creating a huge issue because a lot of these people aren't working, okay, but they are still receiving some benefits. Maybe they're not getting, free health care. Maybe they're not getting free housing, which many of them are, but they are going to the food banks. They are getting free food. Well, that free food, which before was going to the residents that absolutely needed it, now is being split and rationed because we got 100,000 people, 100 or 1,000 people, somewhere between there, coming in every single week. That's a problem. All right. Now, we know that the Biden administration has been attempting to pour more stimulus and relief into the economy. We've seen this. Just this week, for example, $9 billion of additional student loan forgiveness. That happened earlier this week. We've seen it this year with the 1 year on-ramp for payments for student loan borrowers, right? That started on October 1st. So they technically don't need to make a payment until October 1st of 2024, which is in a year. We've also seen an attempt to increase Social Security simply by bypassing Congress. That never took off because I think the Biden administration knew that there was no way that was going to get approved. We've seen the Biden administration pretty much turn a blind eye to those that are coming into the United States illegally, and they're attempting to work, all while taking benefits away from those that are here legally, those that were born here or got their citizenship. Now that we're seeing these states become overrun, the states are actually calling on the Biden administration for more help. Now, the Biden administration knows that they can't ask for additional relief, from Congress without a solid reason. And saying that the country has been overrun and, they need more funding because of that, that's not something that's going to fly with the Republican Party. So one Senate Democrat, again, who doesn't want to be named, said, I quote, "Our best option at this point is to slow the number of incoming migrants down." So essentially we have, we have been kind of overrun. I think we can agree that there's a lot of people coming in every single day. I believe it's between 5,000 and 8,000 people are crossing the border every single day. But this brings up the next question. If we are to see additional funding for states, how strict is the border policy going to be? How strict will the border policy be for Republicans? What will be their ask? Again, because that's what Republicans are going to get. Democrats are going to get funding for Ukraine and potentially funding for states. And this is where things get very interesting. How strict will Republicans make that border policy in order for them to support a bill that includes funding for Ukraine and potentially additional stimulus or relief for those states? Well, we're going to find out, because we do have a few reports saying that Democratic lawmakers would like to see some additional funding go to their state because their states are struggling. Their states have to use some of their other funds in order to pay for these people that are coming in. Now, their funds have been drained, and according to one report, the state's funds are being drained due to rising prices, more people living in poverty and needing additional help, higher immigration numbers, and less people working. Now, I think that's interesting that they're saying that there's less people working when just today, for the September jobs report, we saw that it came in higher than expected at 336,000 for last month. So that's actually pretty good. That's showing that more people are working than what was expected. But yet, these people are saying that less people are working. Interesting. So, what could we expect moving forward? Well, what we are hearing is that we need to get ready for another bill. This new bill is going to provide more funding for Ukraine. There will be stricter border policies. There may be even a push to ensure that more of the border wall is being constructed, and potentially more funding for states and cities. And obviously, the government funding bill itself. So that's what we're expecting as of right now. Again, we're hearing Democrats demand and state governors demanding more stimulus come to them because it is absolutely crucial and needed at this time, simply because our border policies were not strong enough and too many people were being let in. So we will see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of this morning. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.